For my Coretta Scott King winner, I chose to read David Barclay Moore's The Stars Beneath Our Feet. This is written for an older age group, this contemporary realistic fiction, as it has suicide, death, gay relationships, drugs, gangs, and other elements for an older population. You may want to consider getting some parental involvement if you choose to read this within your school, so then that way they're on board with all the issues that could possibly arise from this work. This is a chapter book, so the only illustration provided is the artwork on the cover jacket. We follow a young boy by the name of Wallace, who goes by the name of Lolly, as he deals with his brother Jermaine's death throughout the book. It is a result of his brother pushing drugs back and forth between various barbershops, and we see him dealing through the process of grief. A lot of the story, he is in the anger stage of grief there. He is able to get assistance from Mr. Ollie, who is a social worker at their after-school program. At first it starts out really bad, but then Mr. Ollie capitalizes on his love of building Legos and architecture and sends him to a storage unit where he's able to build to his heart's desire. And this is partly as the result of receiving a book at Christmas from a former neighbor by the name of Stephen that really capitalizes on his love of building. During this time, we also see him work with Vega down the various streets of Harlem, New York, and the temptation to get involved with drugs and gangs and having a gun. He gets beat up, and his friend Vega chooses to own a gun thanks to his cousin, and thankfully at the conclusion of the book, by an interaction that doesn't happen, they throw the gun into a river, and we get to see how Jermaine is able to process through all this grief by the building of these Legos and these buildings. The theme of this book is how your choices can change your future. We see this in various aspects. A choice that is made is when we have Rosamund, or Big Rose, gets to join in building. She come to find out as an autistic young lady that a relationship is formed there with Jermaine at the after-school program. We also see the choice of Stephen giving the book to this young man and having Lolly, I put the two together there, grow in his love and appreciation. That with Rosamund, we see how the choice of Vega and his anger of getting beat up with his family coat given to him at Christmas being stolen, in addition to the fact of getting beat up and his cell phone being taken away. We also see the choice of Yvonne, which is his mother's, his being once again of Lolly's girlfriend, stealing Legos, which originally we thought was a gift, and how Lolly steps up to the plate and gives the option to Mr. Tuttle, this toy store owner, of saying, hey, I will repay this debt. This book has a lot of themes that would be really relevant for kids, of making choices, of how one choice can affect another and affect your future. We can also see how to process through death, and that there's various stages, and as we follow Wallace through these various stages, we can go back and forth between, hey, you don't always get over it right away, because it does follow the book from December, around Christmas time, all the way through May. That is a long grieving process that Lolly or Wallace gets to work through. Plus, in the fact, we can see how your environment affects who you are, where there was choices made of to join a gang and how the consequences emulated throughout the book as well. A great extra activity to include within this book would be to go through the grieving process, because since this is an older age group, by this time death may have occurred to some extent within a family, to go through the 5 stages of grief and understand it doesn't all end right then and there, that, boom, 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 we're done. But I would strongly recommend having a counselor on hand to appropriately go through this, so then if they have experienced it, they can work on processing it. So once again, this was The Stars Beneath Our Feet by David Barclay Moore.